Amazing. Thank you, Unleash. This is truly inspiring and energizing. My name is Ashish J. Thakkar. I was a refugee. I'm a school dropout, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, an astronaut in the making, and an author. I'll give you a quick background, and it's not as long as it sounds, so bear with me. But my father's family left India in 1890 and sailed looking for trading opportunities and ended up in Uganda. Similarly, my mother's family left India in 1920. Same reason, trading opportunities, and ended up in Tanzania. My parents then met, they got married, lived in Kenya, Rwanda, and then moved back to Uganda. In 1972, the unfortunate incident of Idi Amin took place in Uganda. So my parents got expelled, lost everything, and moved to England. My father worked in the Ford factory, mother worked in the Walker's Crisp factory. They built a little bit of capital, set up a small business, built some more capital, bought a home. But in 1993, they were missing home. They were missing Africa. So we sold our home and business in 1993 and shifted to Rwanda. 9 months later, unfortunately, the genocide started. How many of you have seen the movie Hotel Rwanda? So my parents, my sister and I were at home for 9 days, then we were taken to Hotel de Mille Collines, which is famously known as Hotel Rwanda, and then we were taken to the French school, to then the airport, evacuated to Burundi, which is a neighboring country, which is going through a similar situation. Cutting a long story short, we luckily came out alive, but unfortunately, everything we built from 1972 to 1993, we lost again in 1994. So we moved back to Uganda, full circle. And that's when I could kind of see what my parents were going through. I could see that people were actually keeping a distance from my family, scared that if they come too close, we may ask for a favor. So seeing this, I felt like I wanted to and needed to do something about it. So at the age of 15, I quit school. I took a loan of $5,000 from 3 people. So I am officially the most uneducated person in this room, so I can barely read and write. So I quit school, took a $5,000 loan, and set up a little IT business in Uganda. Spent half the money paying my first month's rent, buying some furniture, buying a ticket to Dubai. And the other half, I filled my suitcase with motherboards, hard drives, processors, and flew to Uganda. Monday to Friday sold, got the cash, went back. Saturday, Sunday, filled my suitcase, came back, did that every weekend for 4 months. And then I went to my suppliers and said, look, you've seen me here 15 times. I love you, you love me. Can I please get some credit? And they're like, but you're from Africa. And I was like, yes, I'm from Africa. And they're like, yeah, forget it. You're not getting any credit. And this was in 1996 when our continent's brand wasn't as strong as it is today. So I got very frustrated. I got very annoyed. And finally, after being a real pain, I was advised to set up a Dubai base. And as a Dubai company, I could get credit. So I did exactly that in 1996 and extensively started traveling across Africa, supplying IT equipment, and very quickly realized that Africa is a continent and that you've got to truly operate in a local manner in each market. And that's what became the Mara strength. So to fast track to today, 22 years later, I know I don't look that old, but 22 years later, we're in 25 African countries with 14,000 employees, focused on financial services, technology, and energy. 9 years ago, we set up the Mara Foundation. Starting business at the age of 15 with very little capital, no ability to network. I started shaving earlier just so I look older than I was, so I get taken seriously, tried to put on a deeper voice, nothing worked. It was challenging. But going through that, I understand firsthand what it's like being in that position, and that's why we started the Mara Foundation, with a true focus to focus on young entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs. So we support everybody but old men. And the whole focus is how do we truly enable, empower, and inspire youth and women across. It started off as Africa, and then it started going beyond. And our core focus is Mara Mentor, which is a mentorship platform, which is available on every app store, and it's free to use. We have about 850,000 entrepreneurs on that platform now. We started a global entrepreneurship index, which was a way to kind of rank 85 countries around the world according to how entrepreneurially friendly they are towards youth and women in terms of business and SMEs. And it was really our way of not only celebrating the winners, but naming and shaming the others. And as an independent organization, we could obviously do so. I also then became the chairman of the United Nations Foundation's Global Entrepreneurship Council and the chairman of the Africa Development Bank's Presidential Youth Advisory Group, where we have a mandate to try and create 25 million jobs and skill 50 million youth across Africa by 2025. I'm a big believer that if you're going to give back, mean it. It's very important to, and I think when it comes to the Sustainable Development Goals, the whole angle of leaving no one behind is so critically important. And the SDGs, it's so cool to see all of you doing hula hoops with the SDGs there and being so passionate about it, that it is something that not only is it our government's responsibility, but it's more, in my mind, it's entrepreneurs that are really going to truly make this happen. It's you guys that are really going to make this happen. And when you think about how interconnected the goals are, like goal number 8 is about decent work and economic growth, and that has a direct impact on goal number 9, which has to do with innovation. If you do those two properly, you will have a direct impact on goals 1 and 2, which is no hunger, no poverty. You do it properly, you'll have an impact on goals 5 and 10, which is gender equality and reducing inequalities in general, and none of those are possible without goal 17, which is creating partnerships. So the goals are extremely interconnected. And this is why it makes a big difference. It's not like it's 17 goals. It's one mission, which is leaving no one behind. And I think it's fascinating and really inspiring to see all of you doing this. And more importantly, if we can all give Unleash a huge round of applause one more time. This is just such a cool gathering with such a true meaning. And I mean, no pressure to you 1,000, but you do know that there were thousands of applications from which you guys were chosen. So 0 pressure, but we're truly banking on you. 7 billion of us. But I mean, what Unleash is doing is truly creating that engine, that true engine for entrepreneurship in a way with a real purpose, which is going to be scalable and self-sustainable. And I think, you know, we saw this in Mara Mentor, where between mentors and mentees, the most powerful networks, the most powerful networks were the peer-to-peer networks. And this is what you guys have to truly leverage off, as we heard from the amazing panelists earlier as well. I'm a big believer that if you do good, you will do well. Positivity attracts positivity. And I want you to please, in that order, which is do good and then do well. Too many people do well, promising to do good after they do well, and sometimes never get round to it, which is why start off with that mindset, and all of you are, and hence you're here. But if you do good, you will do well. And genuinely, I have seen this, I've experienced it over my 22 years, that positivity does attract positivity. And you're going to get so many opportunities to cut corners, take shortcuts, do things in an easier way. But don't create skeletons in your closet. This is a journey, not a destination, and it's important to keep at it. Keep at it. You're going to constantly face challenges. You're going to get knocked down all the time, but you've got to get up, dust yourself off, and get back to it, because this is what it's all about. And challenges come in different forms. When I said I'm an astronaut in the making, I'm actually a founder astronaut with Virgin Galactic. And I've been a part of that program for about 11 years now. And we were almost ready to go. And unfortunately, the spaceship had an incident last minute. And unfortunately, somebody lost their life. A mission like that, a program like that, they've still kept persistent, and hats off to them. And now we're in our final stages of training and everything else again, which means hopefully within 12 months, we'll be going. But challenges come in so many different forms. I mean, as an African entrepreneur, the challenge I face is the perception versus the reality. The perception of Africa is so different from what we live and see every single day, so different. 6 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world are in Africa. We have 52 cities with over 1 million people in them. Rwanda, which is my country, based on the model of Singapore, was ranked the 7th safest country in the world. In the world. The United States was 84, as a by the way. But I mean, it's truly phenomenal on how we're able to truly leapfrog in so many different ways. Financial inclusion to everything else. So this perception versus reality, and I mean, and you know, I don't want to digress, but one thing that really bugs me is you know, when you think about the hypocrisy in some cases, it's fascinating. When Kenya, one of our countries, sent troops to Somalia to fight global terrorism, which is phenomenal. But unfortunately, as a result, the price they had to pay was one of their shopping malls got attacked in Nairobi. Some of you may remember that incident where Westgate Shopping Mall in Nairobi got attacked. Do you know what all governments internationally put as a notice? Travel ban, travel alert, do not go there. Not safe. France had a similar issue at a coffee shop, and the whole world flew down and walked on the streets and stood in solidarity. So sometimes you question on how lives are valued and everything else, but the only way all of this is going to change is by entrepreneurs really, truly making that difference and truly carrying forward the SDG angle. It's about trade, not aid. It's about being patriotic. It's about the whole global connectivity that we have. I mean, today's global connectivity is truly phenomenal. I have a, and you guys are probably going to kill me for this story, but I'll say it anyway. But when I was buying IT equipment in Dubai in 1996, I kept on realizing, I was like, you know, IT equipment, hardwares and motherboards and processors, they're not actually made in Dubai. So it started bugging me that there's somebody in between and making a margin, and I can actually make a bigger margin if I go to the source. And every box had made in Singapore or from Singapore or something like that. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to Singapore. So in 1996, 97, when there was no internet the way there is today and there was no way to just Google it and figure it out, I flew down to Singapore. And I started researching, and I found out through Yellow Pages and everything else that Sim Lim Square and Sim Lim Tower is where you get all the IT equipment. So I was like, all right, I'm going to find the source, I'm going to cut that out, cut the middleman out, make a better margin. And I came and I checked into a hotel here, and they said, you know, at that time you have to deposit your passport. So I had my British passport and I submitted it, and the next morning I changed the money and gave it to them so I get my passport back, and the guy looked at me and said, what passport? I was like, but I gave you my passport last night. You put it in your drawer and you put my ticket with it. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I had to report it to the police, and they told me, they said, you know, at that time in 1996 in Singapore, there's a lot of illegal immigrants, so passports used to sell for 10,000 Sing dollars. And I was like, wow, I wish they told me, because we could have split it. I mean, this is... But the point is that at that time, it was so much more difficult, even trying to figure out how your airline gives you a paper ticket again and waiting that many days. Today, we're living in a truly, truly connected world. And you guys being from over 100 countries, the amount of examples we can learn from each other, the kind of cases we can collaborate with each other is truly phenomenal. So I am extremely, extremely excited. I think the whole definition of success does need to be redefined. Success globally has this mindset of success is equals to wealth. And I'm a big believer that we need to change that narrative and change that entire description of what success means. And success is not equals to wealth, but success should be equals to the number of lives that you're impacting and making a difference to. That's the true meaning of success. As entrepreneurs, as dreamers, we've got to truly think big, dream, think seriously big, bigger than you've ever imagined you can think. But start really small and take those baby steps. Don't be scared of trying. Do not be scared of trying. You're going to come up with fantastic ideas. Give it a shot. See what happens. But think big, start small, but don't ever get into that rat race. Never get into that rat race, because frankly, I've seen that where ego and everything else comes in and people get into a rat race. And the reason you really shouldn't get into that rat race, because even if you win, you're still a rat. So stay focused, be true to yourself, be authentic, honesty, integrity, long term. I'm lucky I've got a spiritual leader whose name is Morari Bapu, whose teaching is 3 simple words, which is truth, love, and compassion. And I take it pretty seriously, which is why I've tattooed it on me. But it's 3 simple words that make a huge difference to you personally, but also professionally. Work smart. People told me, you should work too hard. You should start, you should work smart and not hard. And I don't think that works. You've got to truly work smart and work hard at the same time. It's an amazing time to be alive. It's an amazing time. What the MDGs were versus what the SDGs are, the way we're all included in this, the way we're playing a huge role, the way you 1,000 have so much weight on your shoulders. Again, no pressure, just reminding you. The youth are not the leaders of tomorrow, we're the leaders of today. And it's our responsibility to make that difference. Thank you, God bless, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Wow.